So I wasn't sure if I was going to make any kind of video about the PSVR 2 or if I was going to get to it eventually or just save it for the podcast because I don't have a PSVR 1 and I had no interest in buying one. I also get really dizzy and nauseous when I play VR. I used to have the Google VR headset. I mean, I still have the headset. And I used to use it with the Google Pixel 2 because it had the built-in VR app. And yeah, the little remote, and it was cool, but it made me very nauseous, very dizzy. Even something as simple as using Netflix VR, because they had that option, you could do Netflix in VR, and it'll just be you in like a virtual like cabin with a really nice setup and poor picture quality, but that made me dizzy and nauseous as well. So I did have some interest in the PSVR 2 because I heard from a friend that I once knew who had the original PSVR and said you don't get as nauseous or as dizzy with that kind of headset because it is a much more premium headset. But that's also very subjective. You don't know if someone who gets nauseous from a standard cheaper VR could possibly get the same thing from an expensive VR. But what they were doing with the new controllers, the new haptics, the new games we're gonna get for VR, I thought was pretty interesting, especially with the PS5 and its power. Despite the price tag probably going to be $400, $500 alone. But the reason for this video is because from a GameRinks video, I found out PSVR 2 will not be backwards compatible with the games of PSVR 1. Now, what does this essentially mean for you if you have a collection of PSVR games? Well, number one, you still can't use, as far as I've been told, you can't use the first VR headset with the PS5 unless you have the adapter, which at some time was free from Sony, I believe. Don't know the story on that now, if it's still free with paying shipping or whatever. So you would still have to connect that headset to your PS5 to play those games. Number two, while I understand using the new headset for much better improved technology and to bring much more richer experiences to the players with these new games they're releasing, what about the old games that may have been a great experience, may have been fun? Now, I'm going to name a couple of games here that either I've heard about doing really well or I was interested in trying out, as well as a couple that I didn't even know was a thing. Like Resident Evil 7, I heard was a really, really great experience in VR because it's so horrifying and it works perfect. It just worked perfect apparently. You probably can't play that at all in VR, PSVR 2. I know Batman Arkham VR was kind of so you can't do that. Star Wars Squadrons had a VR mode. Gran Turismo Sport had a VR mode. I didn't even know that Hitman 3 has a VR mode where you can play the whole game in VR. I think Skyrim had a full game in VR. Doom had the full game in VR. Borderlands had, I think I heard Borderlands was one of the better VR games for the PSVR. So with these games in mind and also the ones that I heard about but didn't try, obviously didn't try, but Iron Man has a VR game that I think they said was pretty decent. The Walking Dead has a VR game. I'm looking at the list right now on my computer. Creed had a VR game, which it's a movie game, whatever. But the point being is, if you're not going to allow these games to be backwards compatible, you at least have to make good on your promise by bringing out really great experiences for the VR2. I don't know what is releasing for the VR2 that's like AAA or really immersive and amazing, other than Resident Evil Village is getting a VR support. And those other game, I think it's called Firewall or something like that. That one looks interesting. That one has a lot of the new features like the eye tracking and how your fingers interact with the triggers and the controllers and everything. So that is pretty interesting. I think No Man's Sky will be supported for that PSVR 2. So it seems like certain games that may have released previously will be supported with an update, but for the most part, it's not going to be backwards compatible from what they said. So you probably can't do Gran Turismo in VR. You probably can't do Hitman 3 in VR. And me, I would have possibly tried it if it's not overly priced, which is going to be anyway. But if it was within my budget to buy one, try it and see how it is, that would have been cool. But I guess I would have to get a previous VR headset, which, yeah, it's a little bit cheaper now than it was at release, but again, it makes me dizzy. So this isn't really for me, me being angry for myself. It's more so for those people who likes to collect games, and maybe they had a collection of these VR games that are pretty good, and they can't play them with the new headset, so they have to reuse the old headset. So you have to switch between the headsets and keep them around. Not everyone has that setup to keep everything around. Okay, I even had to renovate my room a few times and move things around, remove things, replace them with other things, just so things could work out for my setup. And I just think it's a bummer. They at least have to add a VR mode for like Gran Turismo 7, possibly. I know you got the Horizon VR game coming out, Call of the Mountain. That one looks really interesting. Um, Maybe at some point we'll see. Because I actually had a thought before making this video of if Spider Man is going to get a VR game. The Arkham games had one, Iron Man has one. People have been now making first person mods for Spider Man PC, and we could potentially see a first person VR Spider Man game. Maybe it's just a web swinging experience, but that would be really cool to see. And it'll be great if PSVR2 can make promises on all these great VR games for those who enjoy VR. But I still think it kind of sucks that those previous games are not compatible with the new headset, and that's kind of disappointing. Um, so that's pretty much it for today. Just like what the disappointment. I'm so damn tired. Like it's Friday night, and work full time job, and then try to do YouTube and try to enjoy my free time. I'm tired, and my caffeine, which is soda, it's not even doing it for me. So I'm tired. Yeah, I got my soda in a little 3PO, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what this shit is called. That's how tired I am. But let me know what you think about this news that the VR2 is not backwards compatible with those previous games. I was gonna try. I would love to try Iron Man VR, but or even Gran Turismo VR would have been cool. First person driving in a simulator. But that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments, like I said, what you think. And subscribe to my channel because I am doing the God of War Ragnarok giveaway when the game releases for a digital code of God of War Ragnarok. So subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for that because that's going to happen at release. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.